In this video I'll show you one of my favourite road races, the Alloa Half Marathon. I ran it with a 360 camera. But first a complaint. Every year I do it, the toilet queue is massive. Race organisers, order more toilets or organise the queue better. It's always terrible at this event. I made it to the start line just in time. The race used to start in town, but it's now on the outskirts, hence the bus to get to the start line. The day was grey with a threat of rain, but it was warm. Perfect conditions for a spring run. My aim was a sub 1 hour 50 minute marathon, as I hadn't been doing any fast running and training. I tend to do long, slow runs. My brother had been training fast, so we spent the first half of the race arguing. I'd say, slow down, he'd shout, hurry up. This is one of Scotland's biggest half marathons, with I think over 2,000 runners taking part. It makes for a good atmosphere on the course. Thankfully the roads are wide, so it never feels congested. There is a wee loop at the start of the race where you run back towards the start and then back onto the road you were just on. The older version of the race didn't have this section as it started in town, but it did have an odd out and back bit after 9 miles where you ran up a road then you ran straight back down it. That wasn't much fun. This is way better. The race used to finish at the back of a supermarket, which was great as it meant I used to get some shopping done before going home. There was a long descent before reaching Tillycootery. On a nice day there would have been clear views of the Ochil Hills with a low cloud block the view. After Tillycootery is a long 5-mile stretch along a busy road. They close half of it, but you still get the odd car passing by. The predominant wind is west to east, which means this section is prone to getting a headwind, but today there was barely anything, and despite the greyness it was quite pleasant. The road passes through a few villages. There was great support from the locals in each one. A few years ago I had a strange encounter during this race. I'll explain it and you can decide who is at fault, me or the other runner. Just after the start I had to pass a blind runner. They were attached to a sighted runner. They were going slower than me, so I passed them on the right hand side, but as I passed they shouted angrily, "Pass on the left!" I immediately wondered whether I'd done something wrong. Is there an etiquette for passing people? Is there an etiquette for passing blind people? There was plenty of room to pass on the right. I've asked around and the consensus is that you can pass on either side as long as you're polite about it and don't get in the way. So I don't think I did anything wrong, but let me know what you think. The road eventually turns left back towards Alloa and you're faced with a long hill climb. Unless you're a trail runner, then I'd call it a small hill climb. Road runners seem to think anything other than flat is an epic hill. I was keeping an eye on my watch and my pace was looking good for my sub 1 hour 50 finish. By this point Andrew had left me. He eventually finished in 1 hour 42. I think it was my urging him to slow down at the start that meant he had a good sprint finish in him at the end. There is a second hill just before the finish. It's not hard, but it is annoying. I realised I had to run the last mile a bit harder than I thought. Thankfully I was feeling okay, so I put in a bit of effort so that I finished on time.
Fantastic.
The last time I did this race, I got a COVID testing kit at the finish line, which is probably the most unusual finishing gift I've ever received. This time it was a medal and a banana.